Yes, we are recording. I'm reasonably sure 50-50 chance. What the heck? Technology is awesome when it works.
Yes, it is.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to Com Nation.
For those of you who have been here before, welcome back. And if you're here for the first time, welcome.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you checking us out. Absolutely.
Glad you're here. Welcome to the nation. If you're familiar with us, and you may not be, we do a weekly-ish trivia broadcast. We do it live. We do it interactive. You can answer some questions. This one is not so much interactive, but give it a look. Come over to Combination, sign up for our mailing list, subscribe to our channel, and in about 2-3 weeks, when we're back to doing it live, you can be at the front lines.
That's right. You can be live and in person, so to speak.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
So while I'm sure you figured it out, tonight we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Now, specifically, if you're familiar with Combination, you know this, but if you don't, we don't just talk trivia.
No.
We talk trivia about a specific character and a specific graphic novel or story arc. Right. So tonight we are talking about the graphic novel, The Oath, Doctor Strange, The Oath.
Yes. So
we think, by the way, it's not only a really good graphic novel, but it's also if you're only familiar with the movie and only familiar with Benedict Cumberbatch, this isn't, but want to know more about the good doctor. Here's a good book. And so stick with us for a minute and we'll tell you why.
Right.
Now, Combination makes every attempt to bring you accurate and interesting questions. However, from time to time, some may argue that the questions have more than one answer. And if this happens, please accept our preemptive and most humble apologies, and please choose from the best response of the options available. If you're playing along with our interactive version, it's multiple choice. So, you've got a shot at getting the right one.
Right.
Go with your gut.
Pick the best one available.
Exactly. Tonight's questions are from the work featured. So that's the graphic novel, not the movie. There's some things that are same. There are some things that are different. And appearances in other media and changes made by subsequent storylines may not apply. We're just talking about Doctor Strange, The Oath. Good book. You should check it out. Now, your answer is your answer. Yeah. And after the question is closed, that's it. The host and or Combination, that's us, will have final say in the circumstances during play. So if something happens to your internet or Godzilla attacks or zombies come knocking, sorry about that, but you may not win the game. You'll have an awesome story, but you may not win the game. The first and fastest right answer to the question is the winning answer. And the player with the most winning answers is the winner, despite the lack of
chicken dinners.
Yeah, you're playing for, you're playing for the joy of it. You're playing for the fun of it. You're playing
the bragging rights.
For bragging rights. This is just for entertainment. We hope you have fun.
Right.
And we hope we can share with you a comic that we
Yes.
like.
Indeed.
Let's get started. Now, the first ever appearance of Doctor Strange was not in Doctor Strange the Oath, the comic we're talking about tonight.
No.
The first ever appearance was in Strange Tales number 110.
Yes. Back in 1963.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good for his age.
It's magic.
It's magic.
So Doctor Strange was created by Stanley and Steve Ditko.
Yes. Primarily out of some inspiration of Steve Ditko coming up with new character designs. And then they both were big fans of an older character known as Shandu the Magician, which was an old radio program from the 30s that both these guys knew of, featuring another guy who knew a little bit about the mystic arts. But they tweaked it.
That would be Shandu. Yeah.
Shandu, yeah. And made it a little better, but, you know.
Yeah. They were always, if you know, in the 60s, the certain traditional superheroes were popular, but they were looking.
Yeah. Something a little more
They were
off the
looking
beaten
for
path.
something else.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Strange Tales number 110, July 1963.
Right.
Now, Doctor Strange is a doctor.
Yes.
What kind of doctor is he? Hint, he's not an obstetrician. So if you're pregnant, don't go see him. It might end badly. And the answer is, he's a neurosurgeon.
Yes. Honest to goodness brain surgeon. Brilliant.
Exactly.
Arrogant.
Yep. Now, in both the movie and traditional comic continuity, Doctor Strange got into a car accident, which resulted in his hands being damaged.
Yes. The tragedy of destroying a gorgeous 63 Corvette in the comics.
Yeah, it was in the comics, which came out in July '63. It was a current Stingray. It's always been that same car, no matter how far away we get from 1963. Although in the movie, I believe it was a different car entirely, but still.
It was a brand new Lamborghini in the movie.
So it's, yes, Todd, it's really sad about the car.
It's a 63. Sorry.
And again, Doctor Strange, he did not take the damage to his hands well. No. He exhausted his wealth. He sought out various medical procedures. He tried everything thinkable to try to heal his hands, to try to fix himself. And when he exhausted all of that, he started looking at the unthinkable and became aware of a man named
Joseph?
Jonathan
Pangborn. Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan. And he heard stories of how Jonathan Pangborn had a similar injury and recovered completely from it.
Right. So they sought out Mr. Pangborn and asked him, how did you do it?
And Pangborn said, well, see, first you have to go someplace, this special someplace to study.
Yes. So and
Strange. Where is it that Doctor Strange goes to study?
Harvard? No.
Nah. So it's Kamar Taj?
Kamar Taj, yes.
Kamar Taj. This is not to be confused with Kunlun, which is where?
It's another place up in the parts of the Himalayas outside of Tibet. Also a mystic city from another Marvel comic
Yep.
Yep.
Kunlun is where Iron Fist went to study.
Yes.
One of the other answers we had was Nanda Parbat.
And the Parbat, yes. Which is a mystic city similar to Kamat, except it's in the DC universe. And it's where various DC characters have gone to healing and enlightenment. And it's the one place where the character Deadman, who actually is dead, can still be alive. So.
Okay. And where is it? Yeah. But
and it's also somewhere up there in the Tibetan mountains.
It's like kind of crowded in that hidden Tibetan mountain. There's a bunch of cities. I wonder, are they co-terminal? Can you take one flight into any of them? But
it's
Martaj.
Basically, you all fly into one part somewhere in Asia, and then it's a question of which peak you hike up, and turn left at the first mystic yogi. And
there you go. Now, to be clear, Kamirtaj, in all continuities, it was founded as a place of respite for sorcerers and sorceresses to come and train and control their powers. And it was absolutely not uncommon in both the comic continuity and in the movie continuity that people came there after they had been broken and they're damaged, and they came there to heal, and they came there to train, and they came there to learn.
Yes.
And, once they were accepted and were trained up, they were given the choice to become masters of the mystic arts or to return to their previous lives.
Mm-hmm. As Mr. Pangborn.
Yeah, Mr. Pangborn chose to not become a master, but just go about his life.
Yeah.
So. But Doctor Strange, he went a different way.
He chose a different path.
Now, at Kamartaj, Doctor Strange studied with Dr. Normal? No. He studies with the Ancient One.
For
now,
over 500 years is taught.
Yeah.
Mystic arts.
Now, in the movie, the Ancient One was played by Tilda Swinton.
Yep.
And in the comic, the Ancient One is
basically an old, weazened-looking ancient fellow you'd expect to find somewhere in the Tibetan mountains of some
Asian
sort of
descent and Asian ethnicity. So it's kind of not so much like Tilda Swinton, but there you go.
Yeah, they're both bald. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the alternates, or some of the alternates we had in our multiple choice, were the Tulku.
Yes, this is another ancient soul who taught a guy named Lamont Cranston some mystic abilities, and who eventually became the Shadow.
Yes.
But that's yet another character from another.
Yeah. Yeah, you may not. We talk about the Shadow in another show, but part of his origin was he too went up to those mystic mountains.
To a place called Shambhala.
Mm-hmm.
Past the poppy fields on the rift.
And then we also had Kalu. Todd, for an additional no points. Do you know who Kalu is?
Kalu was a friend of the Ancient One, who also studied the mystic arts and actually helped him kind of found the whole principle behind it.
But then something happened.
Yeah, then the Kalu, he...
But if you want to know more, you'd have to read the book or...
Yeah.
But the Ancient One.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, if you remember in both the comics and the movie, there was Mordo. Remember Mordo?
Mm-hmm.
In the comics, what's Mordo's first name? Or full name? Full name.
It's a long one.
Mm-hmm. It is Baron Karl Amadeus Mordo, commonly known in the comics as Baron Mordo.
Yes.
So, Baron Mordo is pretty much Doctor Strange's arch enemy.
Mm-hmm.
He was he was created by Stanley and Steve Ditko, the same as Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And Baron Mordo's first appearance was in Strange Tales number 111, which was August 63.
Very, very next issue.
Exactly. And he's always been portrayed as, a gifted magician and especially adept in the black arts of magic, including summoning demons. But he's usually portrayed as a little bit more Germanic.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to the wonderful portrayal by Mr. Elgefor in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, according to the movie, and this is just in the movie, which is the artifact that chooses Doctor Strange? What's the name of it?
I choose you.
It is the Cloak of Levitation.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Here's a unique twist. In the comic continuity, it's never been that the artifacts choose the magicians. This was something that MCU introduced, and frankly, I like it.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense. Now, in the comics, the history of the cloak is what?
It's actually something that got woven together and was a relic that they discovered. And he actually, in the comics, has two of them.
Mm-hmm.
He has a blue one that's kind of a lesser one that's, I guess, more for everyday wear.
I thought that he started with the blue one and then he transitioned to the red one.
Yeah, kind of like as he got to be much more of truly a sorcerer supreme. I think then he earned the red one somewhere in the process.
Yeah, the red one was a gift to him from the Ancient One after Doctor Strange prevailed against Dormammu. Remember Dormammu from the first movie?
Dormammu? I've come to bargain? Dormammu, yes.
Exactly. And the red cloak has been destroyed more than a few times, but then it gets sort of restored and brought back to him.
Yeah.
My understanding, okay, so both of the cloaks, both the original blue cloak and the red cloak that we all know so well, they grant their user the ability to float and fly, and they use that rather than a flight spell because it's more effective. Right. The red cloak, I believe, is faster, like capable of subsonic speeds, and but you do need magic. You do need to have magic to control it. Again, this is comics continuity. The movie portrayed the cloak as almost sentient. But I believe both cloaks had the ability to sort of shapeshift a little bit, and both cloaks had the ability to be a shield.
Yes. Fend off terrible things. And over time, he's worn them in different guises, like a scarf, or kind of a kimono-style jacket, a trench coat, whatever the stylist Sorcerer Supreme might need.
As you do.
Yes, you do.
But speaking of Doctor Strange wardrobe, he also wears what? Now, in the MCU, he's wearing one of the Infinity Stones, right?
Yes.
But in the comics,
it is the all-seeing eye of Agamotto.
So, and some of our other answers were that he was always using the Ajanti dagger, or that he had the Girasol ruby, which is the Girasol ruby is.
It's what the Shadow wears in his ring to help manipulate people.
Yep. But,
or the Crimson Gem of Syntactic, or however you pronounce that.
So, if we've mispronounced it, we're very sorry.
Yeah.
But the Eye of Agamotto. And if I'm understanding correctly, okay, so he's got, similar to the Time Stone, there's something that rests on his chest, and when it opens up, that is the thing inside the necklace the Eye of Agamotto.
Yes. Yeah, the amulet or whatever itself that holds his cape together, basically wears around his neck, is basically just a decorative piece, much like the one that holds the time stone in the movies.
Yeah.
But the Eye of Agamotto resides inside of it.
Yep.
And allows him to peer into other dimensions.
And the actual origin of the Eye of Agamotto is a little bit unknown. Some believe that it was discovered by Agamotto amongst the skies and stars, and others claimed it was created by Agamotto, which makes sense. Agamotto was a member of the Vishantis, which were a trio of supernatural godlike entities who acted like patrons for the Sorcerer Supreme. Mm-hmm. And Todd, for an additional no points, how many eyes of Agamotto are there?
There's actually 3.
Because, 3 eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
One to the trio of Vishantis.
Exactly. One is for power, one is for truth, and one is for prescience, which is the one that Doctor Strange has.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but and again, this was the eye was designed by Steve Ditko, who, according to internet and interviews, he said he drew inspiration from it for the all-seeing eye of Buddha, known among devout Buddhists as the amulet of snail martyrs, and it's supposed to protect his wearer against evil and maybe help him see the future.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that Doctor Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme of New York City. What is the address of the New York City Sanctum Sanctorum? It's right there. According to Comics Continuity, it's 177A Bleecker Street.
Yeah. Down in the village.
Some of the alternates we had were 344 Clinton Street, which was?
Is actually Clark Kent's apartment building where he lives when he's not wearing his red cape.
Then we also had 1407 Gray Malkin Lane, which is?
Which is the address of the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters in Westchester County, New York.
Which actually is in New York.
Right.
It's out of the city. It doesn't count, but, forgive us.
New York State. Sorry.
Upstate is not in the city, Todd.
I just said New York. I didn't say city.
And then the other address we had was 200 West 51st Street, which
is the apartment that Steve Ditko, as the artist who created Doctor Strange, lived in for most of his adult life. Yeah.
So, according to an interview by Roy Thomas, the address where someone lives, who was that?
That was basically was an address where both he and
Gary Friedrich
together shared a flat.
Yeah, they said that used to be their address. So, yes. But by the time he actually published it in the comic book, it wasn't their address anymore. And because of how addresses and buildings, etc., get divided, it no longer exists.
Right. Maybe it does, but only when somebody's there.
But it very much is in Greenwich Village. Bleecker Street is in Greenwich Village. And he fits right into the village.
Yeah. Lots of people doing different types of learning and alternate magics.
Exactly. Now, in the beginning of Doctor Strange the Oath, Doctor Strange has been
a long journey. No, he's
that's true though.
Well, yeah.
He's been shot.
My God, the man's been shot. Yes.
Now, luckily, this happens when Wong is around, and Wong springs into action.
Yes.
Now, again, in the comic book, Benedict Wong actually played the Sorcerer Wong.
Yeah.
And that was in the movie. In the comic book, Wong has got a kind of different relationship with Doctor Strange.
Yes.
In
Whereas
the
his
comics, Wong is much more of a sidekick and a valet.
yeah, but also a dear friend, trusted confidant, etc.
Yeah. And it's in this book that we find out more about Wong's family. And if you want to, but it is a completely different, it's a different character. It's a different character that has the same name. It's a different characterization. It's a different relationship, but it's absolutely someone that Doctor Strange cares about and, and relies on.
Yes. Whereas Wong in the movies, much more of his own warrior, sorcerer, and librarian.
Yeah, and if you remember, Wong in the movies attended Tony Stark's funeral with Doctor Strange and the rest of their allies.
Yes. Fought alongside them in the Avengers Infinity War. And has showed up in other places since.
But in this book, Here and Now,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange has been shot, and Wong springs into action. Wong takes Doctor Strange to see the Night Nurse.
The Night Nurse, yes.
So, a little bit about Night Nurse. Night Nurse was a Marvel comic title that lasted 4 issues in 1972.
Yeah.
It was a medical drama romance series. It focused mostly on the adventures of 3 female roommates who worked the night shift as nurses in the fictional Metropolitan General Hospital in New York City. They were Linda Carter, Georgia Jenkins, and Christine Palmer.
Yes, that Christine Palmer.
So in the movie, Christine Palmer became a doctor. Yeah. Now, just to sort of stop for a minute, this was back in there was, way before Grey's Anatomy, y'all, comics and novels had series that were all about romantic adventures of nurses. There were some detective series as well. So Marvel Comics Night Nurse was right on trend.
Yes.
So one of our alternate answers to this question was Cherry Ames, and she's got a whole series of books dedicated to her and her adventures. But Night Nurse, he takes her to see the Night Nurse, and in the modern Netflix series that's become a Disney Plus series, there is Night Nurse as well. She's played by
Rosario Dawson. Yeah, and he goes with the name Claire Temple.
Yeah, because you can't use Linda Carter, can you?
No, because some other superheroine, I think, has that name.
So in the modern Defender series and Defender series and Daredevil series, Claire Temple is the Night Nurse, and she is patching up Daredevil. She's patching up Jessica Jones. She's patching up Luke Cage, although what Luke Cage needs, I don't know.
Yeah. That's a tough patch to do.
Yeah, but you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Marvel's New York City, Night Nurse has a clinics with the folks who wear capes and masks know to come.
Takes a very specialized insurance card to get into that place. Not your normal HMO.
Now, as they go into the waiting room for the night nurse, one of the folks waiting in the waiting room is actually it is Iron Fist. Because let's remember, Doctor Strange is hanging out in Greenwich Village.
Mm-hmm.
Night nurse is in the middle of Hell's Kitchen. For those of you who know New York geography, those are right next to each other. For those of you who don't know New York geography, you think that Dr. Xavier's School for the Gifted is in New York City, and it's not. Todd?
I didn't say city. I just said New York.
State.
Like state. I know. But
again,
if you're from the city, New York pretty much is the city, and that's all that matters. So,
exactly.
Right?
So, yeah. So, Iron Fist, who we've talked about on another program, he's hanging out. He's pulled a hammy fighting ninjas, as you do.
As you do. And since he can't get back to Kunlun anytime soon, because that's a whole other thing with that Mystic City, he also comes to the night nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's someone else in the waiting room as well.
Yes.
Also, in the waiting room is
Girl named
Aranya.
Aranya.
And she's one of the Spider Girls. In fact, might be the current common Spider Girl.
He could be.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different ones, but yeah.
There's a couple different ones. And we're not going to, get deep into which Spider Girl where, but, hey, FYI, there's a bunch of spider people running out there.
Yes.
But again, in the Marvel universe, it's like there's levels, and these are like the street levels. These are your street heroes. Doctor Strange is a little bit more high level, but yeah, Iron Fist and Aranya and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Those are all the street levels. Those are the heroes for hire. Those are the ones you can find.
Yep.
So
they're the ones that are usually still around when somebody else is off in space trying to fight some
exactly
universal despot.
But everyday heroes.
Yes.
Now, we mentioned Doctor Strange had been shot. Who shot him?
Yeah. Terrible guy was that.
So there's a new super villain in town, or at least a villain. We don't know if he's super. And his name is Brigand.
Yes.
And Brigand is a professional.
Don't try this at home, folks. Leave it to the professionals.
Yeah. He's a professional thief and occasional assassin who's been completing various thefts from superhuman individuals across the years.
Yeah.
Brigand brags that he has broken into what?
Fantastic Four's Baxter building and stole the handgun that supposedly Adolf Hitler used to commit suicide.
He stole security robots from I forget if it was Avengers Mansion or Stark Industries or both.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little bit dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sitting there wondering, he's Doctor Strange, how can he get shot? Did we mention he was shot with Adolf Hitler's gun?
Right. Which supposedly is mystic powers because
it's got a lot of seriously bad mojo, and that is what helps break through whatever spells and shields that Doctor Strange had. Because when you're dealing with Nazis and Adolf Hitler, that's some seriously evil stuff. Yeah. Don't be a Nazi, y'all. Don't.
I hate those guys.
Yeah. But when Brigand's running around, he's not trying to shoot Doctor Strange necessarily. He's just trying to find something.
Right. He's out to steal something else.
What is that?
He wants to steal
Hot Kids Elixir. Now I'm going to stop for a minute, or at least we're going to stop for a minute, and talk about the title of this. The title of this graphic novel is The Oath.
Yes.
And the oath that they're referring to is Doctor Strange Hippocratic Oath. Because even though he's running around saving the world and hanging with the Avengers, he still is a doctor. He trained to do no harm, to treat his patients, to try to be a force for good in the universe. He trained not only at Khmer Taj to try to be, mystic of martial arts, but that was central to why he was trying to be a doctor. He was trying to be a healer. He was trying to help people. Yeah. And someone, we're not going to say who, but someone very close to him has been taken ill. And so Doctor Strange, being the doctor, does something not strange and starts to try to figure it out.
Find help. Find some sort of remedy to help his patient.
And he doesn't just say, hey, do 2 incantations and call me in the morning.
Right.
He's tracking down this mystic elixir.
Yeah.
By the way, according to Doctor Strange the Oath, what's Doctor Strange but blood type? Be positive!
Always a good message. Be positive, everybody.
Yeah. Now, by the way, there are 8 common blood types: A, B, AB, and O, and either of them can be positive or negative, and 4 times 2 is 8. Right. So be positive. He was in good shape. There's also a lot of uncommon types and something like a 41 blood types and variations according to the International Society of Blood Transfusion. If you don't know your blood type, you should find out.
Yes.
I'm not saying necessarily you're going to be shot by brigand by Adolf Hitler's pistol, but it's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
In case, you are hanging with the Night Nurse and Wong and they need to figure out a transfusion.
Yeah. Luckily,
Wong also has B positive, so there you go.
Yeah, it's helpful. But it is one of the more common types, and therefore,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, illustrations and questions from tonight are from Doctor Strange the Oath.
Right.
You can get the book at combination.com or wherever quality graphic novels are sold. Amazon, Comixology, your local comic shop. If you buy the book from us, if you buy the book from us, our profits go straight for the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, which is a good charity that is there for, promoting autism self-advocacy. But feel free to get them wherever fine and quality comics are sold. Just read the book. We think it's good.
Yes.
So here's the blip. Doctor Strange the Oath was written by Brian Vaughan and illustrated by Marcos Martin.
Yes.
Doctor Strange embarks on the most important paranormal investigation of his career. He sets out to solve an attempted murder. His own. Okay, Brigand did it. But why? And with his most trusted friend also at death's door, who's that? Strange turns to an unexpected corner of the Marvel Universe to recruit a new ally. Who? Fuck.
Yeah.
Eisner Award-winning Brian K. Vaughan and red-hot artist Marcos Martin join forces for an adventure that will take the Sorcerer Supreme, that's Doctor Strange, from the underworld of New York City to the deadliest dimensions of the outskirts of reality.
Yeah.
But all still firmly founded in the current Marvel Universe.
Hence the guest stars like Iron Fist and Night Nurse,
And Spider-Girl.
And Spider-Girl.
So, Todd, tell us about Brian K. Vaughan.
Well, as you mentioned, he's an Eisner Award-winning writer. He's written Why the Last Man, which also inspired a TV show, Ex Machina, Prince of Baghdad, and The Runaways, which is another series of Marvel characters that's also showed up on TV. And he's been working with Fiona Staples on Saga, and Image Comics claims it's one of the best books out there. Might eventually turn into a TV show or movie as well. And he works on other projects. Yeah. Including writing 3 seasons of Lost.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcos Martin Milanes.
Yes. He's a Spanish comic book artist who usually draws American comics, including Batgirl Year One, obviously Doctor Strange the Oath, various issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and a good chunk of the Daredevil run written by Mark Waid, and a book called The Private Eye. Yeah. He's got a really nice, clean, fun style, so.
We like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for spending some time with us. Thanks for listening to our questions. If you have any questions of your own, comments, compliments, complaints, considerations.
Suggestions of good books you like.
Exactly. Please email us at v.com.nation@gmail.com or hit subscribe or leave a comment or such.
Or check us out on our Facebook page.
Facebook, Twitter. As soon as we figure out Instagram, that too.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for spending time. And above all, thanks for being here.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Read more comics.
Yes, that too.
That too.
All right. See you next time.
Good night, all.